I don't take too much into what I see out of one game, but that game against Detroit was a playoff game, and it's by far the biggest game that Darnold's played in. And for him to struggle as much as he did and miss as many open receivers as he did for as good a year as he's having, that was a concern for me. And I just feel like, Chelsa, like the Vikings and the Lions were like two 100-win teams in Major League Baseball this year that were in the same division. They were going back and forth the entire year. The Lions end up winning the division, and they get to go into the divisional round, and Minnesota gets to go in the wild card round. And we see it sometimes in baseball, like a team wins 100 games, they're in a brutal division battling for another team, go to the wild card, and then boom, their season's over. Kind of get those same vibes with Minnesota. Unbelievable year, 14-3. You've only lost to 2 teams, and now you got to turn around, and your season could be over just like that. So, kind of get that feeling. I think the Rams are going to play really inspired for their city tonight, obviously, with everything going on in L.A. I think McVay's going to have a really good game plan. And again, just the matchup and the year that Kyren Williams has had, and the fact that the Rams are a running football team, and that's how you beat Minnesota. I think it's a good matchup. So, yeah, LA's they were one of my favorite bets of the week, and I still feel that way. I don't think we're going to get a 3, so I would just bet this at 2.5 now. I would be shocked if this touches 3, but I like the Rams.
I think the Rams are tricky because when they're playing their best football and their passing game and their run game are both going, it feels like a team that can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody. And Matt Stafford obviously is a veteran quarterback. We know Sean McVay is going to have a good game plan because he's somebody who's been a fixture in the postseason no matter what the talent is on his team. But it's also been a team that's been kind of up and down. Like, you've got to remember the Rams almost did not make the postseason, and they were playing kind of in a down division. So I feel like I'm with you on the Rams. But, PJ, would you be shocked if the Rams kind of look flat in this spot?
No, I wouldn't be shocked. You know, again, just because of everything going on the week that they had, the fact that a bunch of their starters didn't play last week in Week 18 against Seattle, and the fact that Chelsa, I mean, you look at their last 3 games in which all their starters have played, the final scores have been 12-6, 19-9, and 13-9, right?
Ugh.
So, like, all these games have been super low scoring, which is a concern, but yeah, I just, this Minnesota defense, again, like I said, they've only given up 30 points all year 3 times, and one of those games was against the Rams. So there's something in this matchup that the Rams do that gives them issue, and I think it's because the threat of the run, and then the fact that the Rams don't abandon it, they stick with it, and then they have such good receivers on the outside that are great after the catch as well. I think it's a tough matchup. I will say, I like the Rams in the game, but I also really like Kyren Williams over rushing attempts at 20.5. 3 of his last 4 games, he went over this number. Against Minnesota earlier this year, he had 23 carries. And as I've been saying, Sean McVay understands that you cannot abandon the run against Minnesota. Like, even if you're just getting like 3 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, you're not breaking anything. You have to still be willing to run the football. Like, you cannot get one-dimensional against the Vikings because that's when they thrive. So the fact that I don't really think Minnesota's like going to run away with this game, they might take a lead and have it be like 1 possession, but I think the fact that the Rams are either going to be ahead or they're going to be tight with the Vikings and it's going to be a 1-score game and they're going to be able to run the football consistently, I like Kyren Williams over rushing attempts. It's similar to Jaden Daniels last night where I don't want to take the yards because I worry about him, having like 23 carries for like 88 yards or something like that, but I like the rushing attempts.
I'm going to be on Kyren Williams, but I'm going to be on his touchdown prop. It's a little juicy at -145, which is getting into territory that I don't love for anytime touchdowns, but he's been a dependable guy in the red zone, and it feels like he's not somebody who's sharing carries in the backfield. When they get to those run situations in the red zone, it is always Kyren Williams. And we've seen that. He has 16 total touchdowns this year, including a couple of receiving touchdowns. The last time they played the Vikings, he had a receiving touchdown. So I think those type of guys are good bets when they can score in multiple ways. PJ, is this too much juice to lay for a touchdown, though? Like, we saw this over the weekend where a ton of people were all over Saquon Barkley to score a touchdown, and somehow he has this, like, career game, but just doesn't score.
I don't have a problem laying juice with the guy to score a touchdown if it's, a running back that's scored a bunch this season. And Kyren, let's see, He scored a touchdown in every game this year except like 5 of them. So
No, I think it's 14 of 17.
14 to 17. So
maybe my math is not correct.
He's having a great season. And he scored against Minnesota.
The Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. It was a receiving touchdown, but he scored against them earlier this season. I think that's a good price, minus 145. It feels like if anybody's going to score a touchdown on the Rams, he's got as good a shot as any. Maybe you throw that in like a parlay with something else for people out there that don't want to lay the juice, like you want to get plus money on something like that. You could get fun and you could do Kyren Williams anytime touchdown minus 145 and parlay it with like the Chiefs or parlay it with like Ohio State if you want, even though you're going to have to wait a little bit to cash the bet. But if you want to get something closer to even money, that's always an option too. But I have no problem laying the juice at minus 145. There are only a certain amount, of players that I would do that with, like Kyren, Saquon, Derrick Henry, like those kind of players. But feels like that's a good price. If anybody is going to score a touchdown tonight on the Rams, I would feel confident of it being Kyren of anybody.
Yeah, sometimes if you like a running back to have a big game and the price is too much on the touchdown, sometimes you can combine it with the alt rushing yards. I was looking at BetMGM, though. Doesn't feel like a great value because you have to do 75 plus, and that's minus 190. So I don't know about that. So clearly the books are expecting Kyren Williams to have a big night. And like you said, he is a huge part of their offense. What about other plays in this game? Like, let's look at a total here. And this kind of goes into what we were saying about the Rams for me, is how there is such a variety of outcomes for the Rams. Like 1 week, they're going in a shootout with the Bills, 44-42. And then the next week, they barely beat the Niners 12-6. I can't remember if weather was a factor in that game, but like even the next few weeks, beat the Jets 19-9, Cardinals 13-9. Do you have a good feeling on a total here?
I don't. If I had to bet anything, though, it actually would be the over in the game at 48, just because of what I was saying. Minnesota's lost 3 games this season, and all 3 of those games, their opponents scored 30 points. So that's how you beat the Vikings, Chelsa. You have to outscore them. O'Connell's great, and Darnold's having a good year, and they got Jefferson, and they got weapons. Like, they're going to put up points especially against the Rams defense. It's, like, not great. And with this now being, like, a neutral site game and any crowd advantage that they did have at home, they're not going to have anymore. So kind of think we get some points. Like, for people out there that are like me and like the Rams, I don't think they're going to win one of these games like they've won their last 3 with their starters when they've been super low-scoring games. I think this one is going to be a higher-scoring game. Like, I see something like 31-27, 31-24, somewhere in that neighborhood, so I would actually lean over.